You guys are creating, I guess, together to some extent, but Maria, you're primarily the creator of a diptych that is coming to PS this fall. Currently called, or is the title so far, Solo, and the second one is SoloShow. I guess my first question is like, what do you see? Where's this coming from? Where's the show coming from? What's its inspiration? What was the trigger for creating it?
Just to go a little further back.
Yeah.
You're interested to know why is it diptych, or exactly how it started?
Well, if it's a diptych, it's a single piece. Yeah.
It's not a single piece of Japan. It's two autonomous solos, but they're related to each other.
Sure. Okay.
They're very similar.
Yeah.
But their inspirations, let's say, are coming from another place.
Yeah.
The one piece creates a landscape. The other one is a display.
Okay. A display of.
A display. You put things on display. Look. So they're both about looking.
Yeah.
You know, and that's my interest. It's asking the people to look at things, re-question them, reconsider them.
And what kind of, I mean, this is something that I think you could probably say for any of the shows of yours, certainly that I've seen anyway. What are the things that you're interested in having people see or look at?
I'm not directing that. I want to allow people the space to, whatever is their knowledge, to bring into the reading. But I want you to, let's say, I'm going to show you a very iconic image that you know exactly what it is. If I hold it in suspended time, the meaning changes, you know, and that's what I'm trying to do basically. Not take things for granted in a way, you know, this is the meaning right away we have preconceived ideas about things. It's never one thing, it's many more.
Okay.
So with the first solo, first is because it's much more about playing. It's almost childish. Also because it's a carpet, and the performer is making this carpet, using the carpet as a prop, an architecture, a skin. It has this play about it that ends up becoming kind of childish. I don't think immature, but you know, it's a play. It creates a landscape that gives you the chance to enter in and make your own stories from it. So I'm not going on top of you and saying, this is what you're supposed to see. I'm giving you the time to see whatever you need to see. Okay. But I'm asking you to look at things, reconsider them. With the other one, because it's completely based on research. We copied like 300 images of women from antiquity all the way to Little Kim. And it's things that I picked up, you know, and I found things in common between one image to the other. It's sculptures, photo stills, movie stills, and I've lost my train of thought.
Somewhere else you found images for
yes.
the second piece.
So the second piece is not so personal in a way. My personal input comes to how I shifted each pose to the other with the physicality, using the body that it has weight, makes noise, muscle strain, the duration of holding the poses. So it stays quite more dry, and it becomes a display. It's not a landscape exactly, you know.
I'm not sure. Clarify the difference for me
the
between
display.
The idea of a display as a static kind of thing that you look at, and a landscape.
A landscape is, especially for the first piece, it feels like you're in, and with the setting that we're creating and everything, it's going to feel like Sahara in a way, the desert. It's the timing of it and everything else and what I'm doing, and it's the Persian rug. So it almost, even though the Persian rug is so common and in the Western world everybody has it, just grew up with it and all of that, it has.
It's just a plain rug.
Yeah, and it's small. It's not that big. You know, it's not like the
modest.
But right away it taps there. You can, and because the rhythm is so extended, that it almost feels like a desert.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Which the other one, even though it's also slow, and I'm asking you to look at things, it's so many more poses that you know. They're related to pop culture so much, and things that you've seen. You're not gonna know exactly like, oh, this is the sculpture of Aphrodite or Rodin, but you're gonna know that you recognize things. So it is so much more about this pop culture, show culture, what you know. So you don't get lost in a complete landscape. You stay there. It's a display. You're putting them on display. You know, you're seeing things that you know.
And in each of them, there's only one of you on. I mean, they're both solos, yeah.
Yeah. It's about a single figure and its relation to
the space. The last piece, Gloria, we rotated the theatre 90 degrees. Again, stripped out the grid, I think, of all of the lights, so the space becomes very bare. But then there were a couple of really key kind of objects in it. And there's sound. The soundscape you use normally is really subtle. And so I'm kind of curious, both from the perspective of the choreographer, but also from the dancer, about how that experience is of what you're doing with the space, because my perception of what you had done with the PS room has changed it, almost not at all, but changed it profoundly.
Do you want to speak? Or?
I don't know. I mean, for Gloria in specific, the experience of the dancer just being put into the theater doesn't really change much.
Yeah.
You're just there, whatever space you are in, you're just doing what you're supposed to do. And of course, it just influences the whole piece as a whole. And you get that reaction or the influence just because you're part of it, of that world. And the whole set for Gloria, the PS122 just worked perfectly. And that has to do with Scott Lyle and Maria making that space happen. For me personally, being from the inside, I wasn't, didn't have the pleasure to be outside and actually experience it in that sense. But being inside, the space that you create is there wherever you are. It doesn't really matter. And going to this new piece, I guess it's kind of similar especially because the space kind of constricted to either to the rug and the space behind it, around it.
Because you're building a platform.
And the second piece, which is exactly what you're talking about. So everything is kind of constricted. And it's more of an outer experience, what you're talking about. But I have to say, I will be curious to have it in a bigger space, like in a big theater venue. I think I'm actually gonna experience what you're talking about, like being in a huge theater and having the constriction of the place, like being really restricted in one specific space in terms of boundaries, of your own boundaries of making it work. That's gonna change things. And probably the experience of performing as well.
Yeah, for sure.
And I'm actually looking forward to that.
Because when you talk about the big theatre space, we're not talking about PS122.
No, I'm talking in comparison to PS122.
Yeah, so because
like
it's going to Portland next year.
I mean, we don't know what venues there we're going to perform. They might be.
I like touring the world.
The whole world.
The whole world. But so talk about how you approach
for me, space is very, very important. I take in consideration space as much as I take the body, the sound, the light. I always consider the space as another body, basically. From my older works, even before I totally defined what it was my interest. My first evening length piece, it was 3 6-feet fluorescent lights and 3 dancers. That we had full control of the lights to turn them on and off. And it was very minimal what we were doing, but the space kept on changing of where we were moving with the light. So it's been there, even unconsciously, this interest of how a space shifts in relation to a body and what you put in it.